Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a My Two Cent a Nintendo slash gaming video for this week, where I give my thoughts on a couple of stories that caught my attention and give you my thoughts and my opinion. Now, I'm doing something. This is something a little bit different because of the fact that I'm not going to do a big My Two Cent for this week, though, mostly because I'm planning to spend some quality time with my family this week and so forth, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we all need a break every once in a while, so which is it's going to be not a big My Two Cent. Plus, I'm not going to have a video review for this week, unfortunately. Though I'm hoping to have one next week and all that stuff, but right now, not this week, and that's why I'm shooting it. That's why I'm shooting it on this week on a Tuesday, though. Although I'm dressed, sort of ready to go to work almost soon, though, but not yet, though. So that's how it is. But anyway, we do have 4 stories we want to cover, including a lawsuit that Nintendo currently has won as of right now. A little bit point out that this is a full Nintendo My Two Cent video, though. We do have a report of supposedly a listing for the Metroid Prime Trilogy. A controversy has emerged around the Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition that's supposed to come out this week over the resolution and all that stuff. And some interesting comments 2K Games has made for the Nintendo Switch. So why don't we get started with our first one, and this one has to do with 2K Games. Now, as far as Switch support goes, 2K Games hasn't had really any, up to this point, though, any big support, though. We've seen games maybe Carnival games come out. We saw WWE 2K18, which that did not sit very well with everyone on the Nintendo Switch. And again, WWE 2K20, when that came out last year, that skipped the Switch, that also did not sit very well with everyone, to be exact, though. And we have seen support in terms of them from the NBA 2K, which seems to have sat very well with with Nintendo owners, and even the Civilization. But this week we're going to be seeing the release of 3 games that are coming out this week for the Nintendo Switch, which kind of surprised people when they showed this off during a Nintendo Direct, and that is Borderlands: The Legacy Collection, BioShock Collection, and XCOM 2. And honestly, these are games I am looking forward to trying out on the Nintendo Switch. I want to see how well they do play on the Switch, to be exact. Borderlands, I'm a big fan of it. I love the whole looter shooter and first-person shooter mixed with RPGs. Plus, I just love the world of Pandora and the visuals with a sort of its comic book look to it. BioShock is another series I enjoy a lot. I love the narrative-driven story, the linear first-person shooter adventure, including the world of Rapture and Columbia as well. XCOM 2 is definitely one I'm also going to try out as well on the Switch. I enjoyed it on the PS4, but I definitely want to see how well this plays on the Nintendo Switch, especially for those who played Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. You'll see where that idea of the inspiration may have come from them. Of course, we're going to have to find out also, how well people will respond to this, especially with the whole download requirement. I know that's kind of a debatable issue in regards to Nintendo Switch, how some people have to download the rest of the game even though it's on a file, even on a cartridge and all that stuff. That's certainly one of the criticisms the Switch has had. Well, anyway, 2K Games recently made some comments that at least caught my attention, and that they may be not done with the Nintendo Switch, that they may be supporting it more down the road. In an article on Nintendo Life, it reads that, quote, After a string of listings appearing online, 2K finally made it official in March, announcing 3 collections for the Nintendo Switch. The 3 include XCOM 2 Collection, the Borderlands Legacy Collection, and last but not least, BioShock the Collection. If you thought this was a one-time thing from 2K, think again. In an interview with Famitsu, the publishing chief creator said the company wants to continue releasing games on Nintendo's hybrid platform in the future. According to the comment he made on Famitsu, it says, quote, I can't tell you about our business strategy, but what I can say is we at 2K consider our relationship with Nintendo to be extremely important. We really want to keep releasing games for the Nintendo Switch moving forward. Now, assuming that 2K is not pulling our legs or doing anything like that, I certainly do welcome it, though. Would like to see more games from 2K come to Nintendo Switch. I'm certainly not against that. I mean, yes, I think third-party support is still important for the Nintendo Switch, and that's something they need. That's something the Switch needs to avoid what happened to the Wii U, which is often the dreaded drought, where we had to wait a long time for a lot of games to come out, though. I know some people say that Nintendo doesn't need third-party support, that they have their first-party games and all that stuff, and I will say not necessarily, though. Yes, I do think some third parties do act like jerks to Nintendo fans and all that stuff, but at the same time, I do think third party support is still very important in order for the Switch to really survive and so forth. And 2K that wants to continue to support the Nintendo Switch, I'm certainly am welcome to that. I know I don't agree with exactly everything 2K has done, including some of the controversy with NBA 2K and the whole microtransaction issue, which they definitely do need to be criticized, though, and the way they handled the WWE license. Even though I'm not a WWE fan, the way 2K18 was handled on the Switch was unacceptable, and the way 2K20 was handled, released in that state, was also unacceptable. But they certainly have been known to produce some good games. Like I mentioned, BioShock, the Borderlands series, and of course the XCOM. As far as what games I would like to see from them to come to the Nintendo Switch, well, certainly I would love to see, obviously some would love to see, I'm probably sure there are some out there that would love to see an actual WWE game come to the Switch. If that ever happens, hopefully they would learn from their mistakes from WWE 2K18 and actually develop a Switch version that runs properly. Other entries I would like to see is maybe other entries of the Civilization series, possibly a port of the first XCOM. I would like to see that come to the Nintendo Switch. One of the games I've heard, a third-person shooter known as Spec Ops: The Line. I never played it, though, but I've heard it's considered an underrated gem, and I certainly wouldn't mind seeing that come over to the Nintendo Switch. But I also would love to see them bring over the Mafia series. If they could bring over a Mafia 1, 2, and even Mafia 3, if that's possible. I know some people will think that's a long shot, and that may be true, but we've seen impossible games come to the Nintendo Switch before, though, so I can't completely rule out Mafia 3, but either way, I would love them to bring the Mafia trilogy over. But if 2K is certainly pushing for more support for the Switch, I'm hoping they could convince, Take-Two Interactive, which owns 2K and all that stuff. I hope they can convince them to convince Rockstar to maybe bring some of their games over as well. I mean, I wouldn't mind a remaster version of Grand Theft Auto 4 or Grand Theft Auto 5, 4 with some improved controls. The first Red Dead Redemption game, I would love for that to come over to the Nintendo Switch. I know we've heard rumors about Red Dead Redemption 2 on the Nintendo Switch and all, and while I can't completely rule it out, given what you had to go through when uploading it on the PS4, and especially the amount of data it has had to use up, they had a data disk and a play disk, I still think it's unlikely, but like I said before, we've seen impossible ports, so I can't completely rule it out. But I would be more than happy with the first Red Dead Redemption coming to the Nintendo Switch. So overall, it's nice to hear if what 2K is saying, 2K Games is saying, is true. It's nice to hear that they want to support the Nintendo Switch. I certainly welcome them bringing more games over to the Nintendo Switch. I just hope that if they do that they actually put time and effort into their games and make sure that it runs properly on the Nintendo Switch and avoid a disaster as what we saw with games like WWE 2K18. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2, and this one has to do with a controversy surrounding the upcoming release of Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at somewhat of a controversy that has recently popped up with the upcoming release of Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Now, one of the games that was originally launched back during the Nintendo Switch in the holidays of 2017 was Xenoblade Chronicles 2, a sequel, although somewhat with a different story, to the original Xenoblade Chronicles that was released back on the Wii and later ported over to the Nintendo 3DS. A classic game in its own right, and it amazes me how that game almost never made it over here to the US, but thanks to Operation Rainfall, that definitely helped the exact. And while Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is still a fun game, and it's definitely a must-own if you own it on Nintendo Switch, one of the criticisms I will say for the game is when playing in portable mode, the visuals definitely, or the resolution, takes a hit. While it's not terrible or anything like that, and I could still enjoy and play the game and all that stuff, it is a little disappointing that the resolution kind of took a hit. And I was hoping with the upcoming release of Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, I was hoping that Monolith Software would improve upon the resolution in the way. Well, apparently, we're starting to hear what apparently is a rumor right now. We don't know any official confirmation, but apparently there are reports coming out that the resolution is for Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, at least in portable mode and in dock mode, it has got some people a bit upset or disappointed about this, though. In several different articles, though, this one from WCCF Tech, it reads that, quote, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition is going to run at the same resolution seen in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, according to a new leak. Twitter user Masa, Masagrator, recently took a look at a leaked Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition config files, discovered that both dock and handheld resolutions are the same as the one in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So dynamic 504/720p resolution for dock mode and 378/540p resolution for handheld mode. This is definitely surprising, considering in no way Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition is more demanding than its sequel. The game reportedly also features a sharpening filter similar to the one seen in the sequel, but with a couple of new options. There are also a few additional graphical treats for cutscene, as well as new config categories, though. It also said, on a related note, someone by the name of Jansen Benchmark recently took a look at the Definitive Edition's performance in both the dock and handheld mode, and it seems like the game runs rather well in both modes, managing to keep steady 30 frames per second, with some drops only in the most intense sequence like the opening battle. Earlier today, it's also been confirmed that Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition includes an expert mode that can make the whole game more challenging, as players will be able to distribute experience freely among characters. The game will also feature a time attack mode that will challenge players in winning battles as quickly as possible, rewarding them with special items and more. The game launches on May 29th. So the issue that, according to what this rumor is, that some people have, is the fact that supposedly in handheld mode, though, it's going to be 378 540p, dock 540 720p. In other words, it's going to be like what Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is. Now, of course, we don't have an official confirmation. This is considered a rumor for now, so we still have to wait to hear the official confirmation, although I wouldn't completely rule out this being true. Now, some people have done some YouTube videos or have gone online expressing their disappointment. Some are not happy with this and all that stuff. As far as my take on this, assuming this rumor is true, although it is a disappointment because I was hoping for Monolith Soft to improve maybe the resolution for the upcoming Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, I'm not completely losing sleep over this, though. I still think the game still looks good, even whether it's going to be in dock mode or handheld mode. The gameplay is still very important to me. I am a person who believes in gameplay over graphics, and that's my position. I've always held that position for a long time. And if the game is able to hold at a steady 30 frames per second, or maintain a steady 30 frames per second despite everything going on in the screen, though, I mean, that is fine, though. I mean, I'm not going to lose sleep on the resolution part. I will admit it's a disappointment. I would have liked to see them improve from Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but it isn't something I'm going to freak out or anything like that. So I think some people are kind of, at least how I see it, sorry, blowing this way, way, way out of proportion. I think some people need to calm down, though. It does give us an idea that if they were to port Xenoblade Chronicles X to the Nintendo Switch, which I certainly think they should do, though, and if this game does well, though, it might convince Nintendo and Monolith to port Xenoblade Chronicles X over to the Nintendo Switch, despite the claim that money is an issue and all that stuff. But anyway, on track though, if Xenoblade Chronicles X were to come to the Switch, I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same resolution like what we see with Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and possibly Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. So overall, yes, it is a disappointment if this rumor is true that the resolution will be the same as what Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was in 2017, but it's not something I'm losing complete sleep over or anything like that. And I do kind of feel some people are kind of overreacting maybe a little bit and kind of need to sort of calm down. Maybe it's because I'm a person who believes gameplay is more important than graphics, and I think art style can make up for any graphical bells and whistles that, you know, a lot of those AAA games normally have and all that stuff. But I'm not losing sleep over this. Yes, disappointed, but not something that people should really lose sleep over. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 3, and this one has to do with supposedly a rumor of basically a retailer may have leaked, or what they claim is leaked a release date for the Switch version of the Metroid Prime Trilogy. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at a report that a Swedish website may have leaked supposedly a release date for the Switch version of the Metroid Prime Trilogy. Now, last year was sort of interesting with news about the whole situation in regards of Metroid Prime 4. Originally, this game was announced during the E3 2017 during Nintendo's digital presentation, but of course last year we had the situation in regards of basically whether or not the game, we had a release from Nintendo that did a video kind of realizing the game was not living up to their standards, so development had to restart, and they let Aulx Studio basically handle that game and all. Now, during this, though, rumors started to speculate of what may have happened with that game. And one of those rumors obviously ranging from Bandai Namco was working on it, and that Nintendo wasn't happy with it and all that stuff. But other rumors started to pop up that saying during that time that Metroid Prime Trilogy was in development and that the game's already done and all that stuff, and Nintendo was just sitting on it, though. Some of it was basic. Some people claim that Nintendo wanted to avoid the mistake with Bayonetta 2 when they released that, but development for Bayonetta 3 is still right now. We don't know about that game, although Hideki Kamiya has come out and saying that the game is still in development, it's not been canceled or anything like that. Well, recently a report has come out spotted that a Swedish retailer has recently put up a new release date of what they think the Metroid Prime Trilogy for the Switch will be released. Now, according to an article from Game Radar, links will be in the description though, the Swedish retailer Inet has a release date for June 19th. According to the article, it reads that, quote, "Another day, another Metroid Prime Trilogy rumor, only this one has gone as far as to purports that the highly anticipated trilogy would release on Nintendo Switch from June 19th, 2020. According to a new listing on the Swedish retailer Inet, if I'm saying the name correctly, which is still live and online as of the time of writing, the game will finally be released in less than a month's time and contains Metroid Prime 2 Echo, and Metroid Prime 3 Corruption." They got this from Nintendo Insider, though. The prospect of a Metroid Prime trilogy Switch trilogy has been hanging around ever since Metroid Prime 4 was announced and subsequently delayed, and most recently bubbled to the surface again in November 2019. Interestingly enough, or worrying enough, depending on your point of view, I guess, the leak comes via the same Swedish retailer that kicked off these rumors in the first place, making the claim more intriguing than ever, though. But given the company said that a port version of the trilogy would be revealed at the Game Awards in December 2018 and released in February 2019, we can only take this with a generous drop or grain of salt for now, especially as the art assets are clearly marked as placeholders, though. If Nintendo does have something new planned for Metroid, though, hopefully we'll know soon enough, particularly as we get closer to the leakiest time of the year for the gaming industry at basically E3, although that has been canceled and all that stuff, though. It is worth pointing out there is also rumors about a 2D Metroid possibly in the works as well. Now, when it comes to leaks from retailers or anything like that, it is worth taking with a huge grain of salt, because sometimes these leaks can be wrong, and we have seen these leaks be wrong before. I remember I think Amazon leaked what thought was going to be Fire Emblem Fates coming to the Nintendo Switch with all its DLCs, only that turned out to be not true. We've seen leaks. I remember seeing a leak for, say, Lost Planet 3 was supposed to come to the Wii U, but that never really happened and all that stuff. So, and we've also heard stories of how Best Buy will put up games that they haven't been announced yet, just to put up there based off of rumors and all that stuff. So we've heard all of that before. So it is worth taking this with a grain of salt. That said, though, we have seen cases where retailers have gotten it right before. We saw how Metro Redux Collection was leaked, and that turned out to be true, to be exact. We've seen, of course, with Bioshock, Catalina Full Body as well. We've seen that before, and even Witcher 3 Wild Hunt was rumored at the time for the Switch, and we saw retailers put out that the game was coming to the Switch. But obviously, at E3 2019, we got the official confirmation on that Witcher 3 was coming to the Switch, and it's on the Switch and so forth. And given how Nintendo has a history of stealth dropping some announcements, just last week, a new Paper Mario game, Paper Mario the Origami King to be exact, I can't say it's out of the realm of possibility. It is possible that Nintendo they could be releasing a Switch version of Metroid Prime Trilogy on June 19. It is possible they could be stealth dropping this, though. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. But right now, I am, for the moment, taking this with a huge grain of salt, as I feel more comfortable hearing an official confirmation rather than saying this is true, only to find out that may not be true at all. So overall, I think it's important that we take this with a huge grain of salt until we hear an official confirmation. But given Nintendo has a history of stealth dropping announcements that none of us expected, like I mentioned, Paper Mario, the Origami King, it's not out of the realm of possibility that this release date for a Switch version of Metroid Prime Trilogy could be true, but we'll find out on June 19th or until Nintendo makes an official confirmation if this claim is true or not. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to get to part 4, our final part, and this one has to do with supposedly a lawsuit Nintendo recently won in regards of the whole issue with Joy-Con drifting. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our 4th and final part of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, I'm going to be taking a look at supposedly a lawsuit Nintendo has recently won. Now, one of the issues the Switch has run into, and people have complained about it before, is basically the whole issue of what's often referred to as the Joy-Con drifting. This supposedly is when the left part of the Joy-Con, the analog stick on there, begins to drift, or basically your character moves without you even moving it or something like that, or not responding or anything like that. to be clear, I've had my Nintendo Switch since 2017, and not once have I experienced any Joy-Con drifting issues. That's not to say the issue doesn't exist or anything like that, and I'm sure there are people that have issues with it though, but I haven't really experienced anything with it. That said, some people have felt like Nintendo hasn't done enough to address the Joy-Con issues. Even some have even went as far as filing a lawsuit against Nintendo. Well, a recent article from Nintendo Life seems to point out that a lawsuit, or at least a judge in Illinois, seems to have ruled in Nintendo's favor, at least for now, though. In the article from Nintendo Life, it reads that, quote, "If you're one of many people who have suffered from Joy-Con drift in the past, then you might be interested to know that a legal claim by a Switch owner that Nintendo America has sold defective controllers with its console must go to arbitration." arbitration. The decision was made Thursday by a U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Illinois, presiding over a case of Zachary, I think that's named Zachary, who assists that the Joy-Con controllers had fault which caused the joystick to actively or drift on its own without user actually manipulating the joystick, which is an issue that significantly interferes with gameplay. Zachary's lawsuit included claims for violation of consumer protection laws, breach of warranty, and unjust enrichment, and he is seeking an unspecific damage as well as his attorney and legal costs. U.S. District Judge Gary Feiman, Feinerman, stated that Zachary must ask an arbitrator, ARBITRATOR, apologize I'm not saying it correctly, whether his alleged claim belongs in court or if they're actually subject to an arbitration clause in an end user agreement. Zachary will have to agree whether he first purchased the Switch itself. The judge ruled that correctly observed that the party cannot be required to arbitrate a dispute that has not agreed to submit to arbitration. That principle, however, does not mandate that the court, rather than the arbitrator, decides whether his claim must be arbitrated. By entering in an arbitration agreement that incorporates the AA rules, the parties delegates to the arbitrator the question whether, Zachary's claim must be arbitrated. Again, I apologize, I'm not saying that name correctly, though, okay? This person opened his case against Nintendo last August, and a month later, Nintendo moved the case to federal court. The company has stated that this person willingly signed an end-user license agreement that required him to arbitrate claims related to its Switch console and its associated control devices. Zachary in turn responded by saying that his case was an exception with exempt claim that may be brought in small claim courts. The judge ruled on the matter means that Nintendo has won this round, but he adds that this person was free to come back to court if designated arbitrator decided that the claim aren't subject to the arbitrational process. This ruling is similar to the one made in a Washington federal judge in March, which also focused on defective Joy-Con controllers. The U.S. District Judge there granted Nintendo bid for arbitration in that case, but refused to dismiss the case outright and instead put a hold on this class action suit pending the results of an arbitration process. The outcome of a case like these could have dramatic impact on how Nintendo handles future problems with the Joy-Con controllers. So, apologize if I'm not saying the name correctly, though, but obviously Nintendo, certainly for this round, it's coming off as that they won this one, but it's far from over, to be exact. I have a feeling that, even if Nintendo has won this case, the whole issue of the Joy-Con drifting is something that is not going to go away anytime soon. And while I haven't experienced it, though, there's no denying that there are probably people out there that have experienced Joy-Con drifting, and I think this is an issue Nintendo is going to have to address. Whether or not we could see this lawsuit pop up again remains to be seen, but for now, this certainly is a win on Nintendo's side. So overall, Nintendo kind of dodged a bullet, at least for now, but that doesn't mean that the whole issue of Joy-Con drifting is going away, and it doesn't mean that it will stop someone from basically filing another lawsuit against Nintendo over this issue. Whether or not you agree with what they're doing, whether or not you agree with the lawsuit or not, that's entirely up to how you see it, though. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about 2K supporting the Switch even more? Are you happy that 2K is going to support the Switch more? Are there any games in particular you would like to see 2K bring over to Nintendo Switch? And given that they are owned by Take-Two, do you think this might encourage Rockstar to bring some of their games over, like maybe GTA 5 or Red Dead Redemption? What are your thoughts about the whole resolution in regards of Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition? Do you think people have a right to be upset and angry at this, or do you think people are kind of blowing this way out of proportion? What are your thoughts about this listing for a June 19 release date for the Switch version of the Metroid Prime Trilogy? Do you think this release date is accurate? Or do you think it's not true at all? Do you think a Switch version of Metroid Prime Trilogy does exist? And if so, do you think Nintendo is going to do a stealth drop approach similar to what we saw with Paper Mario and the Origami King? And what are your thoughts about this lawsuit over the Joy-Con drifting, or the fact that Nintendo won this case, though? Do you think Nintendo is still at fault with the whole issue of the Joy-Con drifting issue, though? Do you think some consumers are taking it maybe a little too far? Or do you think they have a right to sue Nintendo in regards of the whole Joy-Con drifting? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you like this video, then hit that like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal me or Patreon. Links will be in the description down below. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!